His Lordship, the Honorable Justice Sean Innocent, High Court Judge of Anguilla, Miss Benjamin, Senior Magistrate, Mrs. Michelle John Tibbles, Chief Registrar, Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, Mr. Gregory Gerard, Court Administrator, Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, Ms. Jean Dyer, President of the Anguilla Bar, and other members of the bar, invited guests, members of the media, good morning to you all. This is another profound moment in the life of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court where we're transitioning. If you would have remembered our 50th anniversary theme, celebrating the past and embracing the future. This is another momentum in embracing the future, where we're taking our litigation processes to another level. In doing the official welcome, I'll now call on our registrar, Ms. Vinette S. Richardson, to do that.
Boat race is Anguilla's national sport, so we are familiar with launching boats. Now we're here to launch the e-litigation portal, hosted on a web cloud, so I guess we'll be now flying in the clouds. Last year, March or April, Mr. Mark Ernest, IT manager at the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, called with the quote-unquote good news. The Chief Justice had selected Anguilla as one of the first islands to roll out the e-litigation. St. Lucia and Virgin Islands were the other two islands. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court team and the Crimson Logic team came to Anguilla late last year and introduced us to a new way of doing business. On the 13th of February 2019, invitations were sent out to the following to take part in the e-litigation training sessions: His Lordship, the Honorable Justice Sean Innocent, Senior Magistrate, Ms. Ivinia Benjamin, and Magistrate, Mr. Keita Benjamin, the High Court staff, Magistrates Court staff, Counsel and their clerks, Attorney General Chambers, the Royal Anguilla Police Force, Customs Department, Immigration Department, and the Department of Social Development, all stakeholders in the administration of justice. There were in all about 70 persons who participated, and they were required to attend 2 training sessions, except the judge and the magistrates. They attended 1 session. Training commenced on the 25th of February and concluded on the 8th of March. Despite my initial reaction, I appreciate the fact that e-litigation should make work easier. Staff will spend less time receiving and stamping documents, no more checking that the requisite stamps are paid, as this will all be done online. No more looking for files, as they'll be in the cloud. Counsel will spend less time at the court registry conducting searches, as the file will be online and they will have 24 access to it, provided there's electricity and internet. For my part, no more calls from counsel or clerks after 3 p.m. requesting to file their documents after 3:30 and claims that I'm being difficult when I refuse the request. Now, onus is on counsel to file on time, and there can be no argument or extension from the portal. Change is constant, and we are thankful that we are part of this historic moment. A pleasant good morning to all.
I'll now invite His Lordship to bring greetings, brief remarks on behalf of the member state.
It seems to me that every time that I'm called to make a presentation or to speak, somebody qualifies it and says, well, brief. Apparently they know something that I don't. In any event, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you here this morning. Indeed, I am excited. I don't know about you, but I am excited. To some, it might be a most daunting prospect from the point of view that a lot of people, apparently, are either technophobes or strangers to technology. Now, I recall many years ago, there was this mantra posted on the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court website. I think it read something that they must often change if they are to grow in wisdom. Now, obviously, this is a process of change, and a lot of people may be discomforted by it. I remember as far back as 1990 having a conversation with a British solicitor. At that time, I was quite a stranger to computers. And as a matter of fact, in those days we had the DOS operating systems. blue writing across the screen, if I recall correctly. And he said that essentially, if you are to progress as a practitioner, you are going to have to learn the technology, and that perhaps one of the most powerful weapons that you would have at your disposal is technology. And many years later, the truth has been revealed. I recall going back to St. Lucia to practice, and there was an unavailability of legal information. To get a report from your jurisdiction, you would have to bother the librarian at the Court of Appeal headquarters, and if you were lucky, you would have a copy of that decision. Otherwise, you'd have to rely on the kindness of some other counsel to provide you with a copy. Now, today, you could do a search on the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court website. Unfortunately, there are several jurisdictions who do not have their, well, how would I put it, an automated court system, if you want to call it that. Law reporting, for one, is essential and necessary, not just for the purpose of litigation, but also for the purpose of the development of your jurisprudence. In any event, now we've moved on a little further, and unfortunately, I'm no longer in private practice, and I'm really going to miss the opportunity of not being able to file my very large bundles electronically. I mean, I can testify to the fact that there are some matters where the paperwork is enormous, and collating 9 bundles of material is not easy. It's heartwarming to know that at this stage, counsel can sit at their laptop, prepare the list of authorities, bundle of authorities, and everything. You could shift it around as you like. That is convenient. However, no automated system is perfect. There'll be crashes. There'll be all sorts of things that are likely to happen. And of course, we are always subject to the other elements, electricity and reliable service providers. Well, we know how that goes in the Caribbean. In that event, the point is, what is going to make the system work is the human element. And it will require some discipline on the part of court staff to make sure that they don't do what they have done with respect to the predecessor GEMS, which is don't make the entries and don't do things in a timely fashion. The exchange of information is very important in any judicial system. The ability to access information at the click of a button will make all the difference, simply because litigation is expensive, therefore time is expensive. So, position is, I would like to encourage everybody, particularly the legal practitioners, to embrace change, because even though this may be an advancement for the purposes of our jurisdictions, we are still behind. I mean, I recall when the Privy Council had passed their new rules and they had gone fully automated, there were some lawyers saying, well, now we have to get UK agents and it's going to be more expensive. I said, on the contrary, it might actually be cheaper, because I recall matter was proceeding in the Privy Council, and I was sitting back in my chair at home and communicating with the lawyers. You have, unfortunately, yesterday I was lamenting the fact, I said, well, in this day and age, I have to sit down and take longhand notes of proceedings. So, to the IT staff of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, could we please get the voice-to-text transcription systems in the courts ASAP, so that we don't have to bother the court reporter to, could you play back the tape, please? That we can scroll. And when the judges have to do their summing up, they don't have to try to decipher their own handwriting. So that's one of the things that I'm actually looking forward to. In any event, lest anybody accuse me of going beyond the allotted time, because I could stay here for the entire day. In any event, as I said, we're very pleased, and I am happy. I was in the BVI when they had their lunch. I was in St. Lucia when there was the lunch there. And I guess thrice is very nice, because here I am again, and there's another lunch. Anyhow, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Your Lordship, for those words of wisdom. Our next presenter is our Chief Registrar, who will bring remarks on behalf of our beloved Chief Justice, who unavoidably absent. But our Chief Registrar will tell you more on that. Please make her welcome.
Permit me to adopt the protocol list, which is already established, save to mention the presence of His Lordship. We just heard from a senior magistrate and the lawyers in here and the media. It's my honor to extend a warm welcome to all of you, and at the same time say thank you for accepting our invitation to be here this morning. Let me apologize for the absence of Her Ladyship, the Honorable Dame Janice Pereira, Chief Justice. As many of you would be aware, Anguilla is like a second home to Chief Justice because she served here from 2003 to 2009. So you will believe me when I say that she was looking forward absolutely to attending this launch today. However, due to circumstances beyond our finite human control, Her Ladyship could not be here, but she sends her best wishes as well as her apologies. I am here, however, in her stead, if you would permit me, to share her enthusiasm for this exciting new development. Her Ladyship has been the impetus for every action and every bit of dedication that has gone into this system that we proudly launch here today. So I stand very proudly to address you on her behalf at this official launch. The end of the 20th century ushered in a new system of information communication technologies. That's a tongue twister, so most times we just refer to it as ICT. And this marked a beginning of a new world order, if you would like to put it so, using ICT solutions. Undoubtedly, you would know we live in a hyper-connected world. Not too long ago, we'd have to pull out the pen and paper, and His Lordship spoke about still doing it on the bench. But I am pleased to say that we do have the technology, so our ICT team will have to give you some training on that. So just a little plug in there. But you would remember that we'd have to pull out our pens and papers and write these long letters, and most of us who went off to school, to university, would have to write home these long letters. I mean, I'm a culprit. My now husband, I can tell you, I still have all these letters in a box somewhere that I received and then later on I sent. And not to forget these telephone calls. Some of them collect calls. Anybody here remembers? Do we still even have collect calls? And this is what we were faced with. But now you could pick up your mobile phone. There's WhatsApp calling. There's WhatsApp video. There's FaceTime for the Apple lovers like me. And you can just speak to anybody. No one is really too far away right now. We have online shopping. The result? The goods delivered right to our door. Yes, sometimes that's not necessarily a good thing because we can spend a little more, but that's the reality. The point is that rapid changes have taken place in almost every facet of our society. And as His Lordship said, they will come with accompanying difficulties. But we have moved to a point where there's no turning back, and we can only move forward with the technological advancements. If you don't keep abreast, you will get left behind. And the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court could not be left behind. If you know any of our past, maybe 5 or 6 Chief Justices, you would know that we were not about to be left behind. And so we have been trying to harness these new technologies and apply them to the work of the court. Like any other system, the judiciary also has evolved over the years. Each era of change in our society has influenced how the judiciary has to operate and how we have evolved into this era of instantaneous communication for the transmission of data, and so our judiciary had to do it. Moving in this direction did not mean that the ECSC was reinventing the wheel. Far from this. In fact, as His Lordship mentioned, we're actually playing catch up because judiciaries the world over have ushered in this new modern age of what we refer to as an e-judiciary. The turn of the century saw the ECSC boldly stepping into the direction of employing the ICT systems to improve its services. And one change we saw was the implementation of the Judicial Enforcement Management Systems, which we know as GEMS. And this commenced somewhere around the year 2000. And it represented the first major technological intervention associated with the management of our court cases. GEMS has provided the courts with the ability to manage all aspects of the cases from filing all the way to disposition. One of the prominent features you would know would include the prompt generation of court schedules and cause lists, as we refer to them, and matters to be heard in various courtrooms within the entire member state and territory of our sub-region of the OECS. And many courts have had to put aside the hard copy cause books and have been dependent on GEMS for the generation of their court schedules. Now, although the GEMS software has benefited the operations of the court in many ways, there are several limitations to it. And the court realized that we had to move into a more modern web-based IT solution as opposed to this, the one that GEMS could provide. And I mean, just some of the few limitations, the need for IT staff members to be providing constant support. I know you all like to see Mr. Ernest, and he likes to be here too. But, you know, we would have all these server-related support issues. We'd have to manage the backup of several databases separately, lack of complete control of the data, inability to provide a 24-hour service, and I could really go on. So in light of these frustrations with the current case management software, in 2015, the ECSC began its journey in search of alternative approaches to an electronic case management e-filing solution for the OECS sub-region. You see, we realized, as I said, that we had to remain up to date with this current highly sophisticated and technological world platform. And to do that, we needed a web-based application that would provide court users and stakeholders with access to assigned services anytime, anywhere, on any electronic device, with refined features which allowed electronic filing, electronic case management, electronic payments, and so many other e-capabilities. We needed an application which was custom for our court, taking into consideration all the peculiarities and the needs, while serving as a platform to improve the delivery of justice to the citizens of the OECS, both at the appellate and the original jurisdictions. We were delighted when our specifications were met by Crimson Logic Limited, an e-government solutions company headquartered in Singapore with operations in many countries around the world, including our neighboring island of Trinidad and Tobago. This magnificent team developed for us a highly proven web-based application software utilizing Crimson Logic's e-Judiciary Accelerator product. And this software has been customized by Crimson Logic in conjunction with the IT department at the court's headquarters for use by courts all over the Eastern Caribbean's 9 member states and territories. The product, the ECSC E-litigation portal, now live for all new proceedings in St. Lucia for the Commercial Division and the Court of Appeal, in the British Virgin Islands for the Commercial Division, and recently Anguilla for Court of Appeal proceedings and High Court proceedings excluding non-contentious probate, administration of estates, family, and admiralty. The e-litigation solution will provide you, the court users and stakeholders, with access to assigned services anytime, anywhere. Smartphones, laptops, desktops, and the portal boasts components such as a web portal, a judge's portal, electronic filing, e-notification service, electronic case management. The list goes on. Many of you were at the training, so you can testify. You have seen for yourself the capabilities of this new system. Implementation of the system will significantly change the way in which the courts in the ECSC operates. And the e-litigation portal will serve as a platform to increase operational efficiency in the courts. The registrar alluded to this through reduction in operational costs. It will also contribute towards increasing the transparency of court services by stakeholders, which include the litigants, the lawyers, court staff, and the judges. And by making services available online, anytime, and anywhere. At the broader level, the e-litigation portal will contribute to sharpening the competitive edge of the OECS region in standing in this world economy. I cannot emphasize enough how this new software will transform the way we do business. Imagine as an attorney, you will be able to sit in your office, your home, or even on one of those lovely beaches in Anguilla that I've enjoyed for the last few days, or maybe a cafe in Times Square, New York, or maybe while enjoying the sights of the Champs-Élysées or the Louvre in Paris, anywhere. And you will be able to file your documents, view your case files right there, securely through a transmitted portal and court office process that will eventually form an electronic folder for review by a judge. Some lawyers may say, well, this may not necessarily be a good thing for us having vacations because we may never have a proper vacation now. But being the positivist that I am, I'm looking on the brighter side. There will be no longer the need to do so many of the things that we have grown accustomed to. And the cost savings, they will be tremendous. So as His Lordship said, filing those copious volumes and those bundles, and the registrar mentioned running across to beat the time for filing. Instead, you'll be running to hit click before the time for filing, which I think will be a lot more manageable for most of us. And case managers can easily and quickly generate cause lists. And at the level of the Court of Appeal, I have to tell you, the filing of those bundles, the boxes that the judges, those famous bankers' boxes that our judges have to travel with to prepare for matters, this will soon be a thing of the past. And I cannot tell you how excited that we are to move in this direction. To put it into perspective, let me share with you a bit of the statistical data that we have so far. The e-litigation portal went live in the BVI on the 12th of November, in St. Lucia on the 26th of November, and in Anguilla on the 11th of March 2019. Well, BVI and St. Lucia, of course, were in 2018. To date, across the 3 member states and territories, we have 98 law firms registered, 195 legal practitioners registered, 102 commercial matters filed, 9 High Court civil appeals, 1 High Court commercial appeal, and 1 magisterial civil appeal in about 5 months. And the lawyers and the bar in BVI, they are raving about the system and how it has enhanced their practice. Too often in life, we are reminded of what we cannot do or what we will never do. And today is a testament to the fact that whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve. And so as we are gathered here to welcome yet another ECSC milestone in Anguilla, I can't help but think of in years to come, I'll be speaking to my children or maybe my grandchildren and telling them about the way we used to file documents. And I can imagine them thinking, being so shocked that we actually lived life in such a rudimentary way, and they will wonder how we ever made it. Soon, we may very well be thinking that way. I'm sure some of us can't imagine doing without a cell phone right now. So today, I am honored to join with the Chief Justice, judges, and the staff of the ECSC to launch the E-litigation portal for the territory of Anguilla. Before I close, it would be remiss of me if I didn't place on record my sincere appreciation and no doubt that of Her Ladyship, the Honorable Chief Justice, and extend thanks to the members of the Crimson Logic team, who you will be hearing from shortly, and the delegation from the court's headquarters, comprising of our court administrator, Mr. Gregory Gerard, our IT manager, Mr. Mark Unis, systems administrator, Mr. Anderson Henry, and project coordinator and application support support officer, Mrs. Cynthia Ramjiran. This team has worked extremely hard, not only to get this system up and running, but also to provide continued support to users. I'm so very able and very proud, rather, to be able to work alongside them. Speaking for myself, I'm excited about the ECSC's e-future. It is my hope that when we are done, that you will all share in this excitement, as together we move into the next phase for improved access to justice for citizens of the OECS member states and territories through the ECSC e-litigation portal, serving you on time and online. Thank you.
Can we get another round of applause for our Chief Registrar? That message was on point and on time. We'll now hear from our developers, Crimson Logic, about the system, and this will give us a more holistic view on where the journey starts and where we would like to take it. So I will now invite Ms. Alana Ali, Assistant Project Manager, Crimson Logic, and Mr. Jose Cobal, Project Manager of Crimson Logic.
Every time I stand in front of a crowd with BVI, St. Lucia, I feel very surreal. I need to pinch myself because I cannot imagine one phone call to court administrator, Mr. Gregory Gerard. I spent an hour and a half on the phone with him. I'm sure his ears was burning after. Manifested into this today. I speak on behalf of Crimson Logic, my CEO, and the rest of my development team, two of which are at the back, Ted and Ricardo. I must mention them. Two of my very youngins that I like to refer to them as, who have worked assiduously to make sure that the e-litigation portal has been up and running. Crimson Logic, we are very, very humbled to have been the solution provider of choice by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. They entertained many other solution providers, and we are quite grateful that we were the chosen solution provider. So just to give you guys a little background on Crimson Logic and who we are what you call a government-linked company from Singapore. We're actually owned by the government of Singapore. And we have been trusted partners for over 30-something years to governments around the world, in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. We have 19 registered offices and soon to be 20. Our newest office will be in St. Lucia. And we already have hired one St. Lucian to be part of this ECSC journey. We operate in 3 main domains: trade facilitation, e-litigation, and digital government, where we provide complete end-to-end solutions for developing countries such as the Caribbean and other jurisdictions. So why e-litigation? The new market-oriented economy, the social trends of globalization, and other exogenous factors which the Honorable Chief Registrar would have spoken about, they are now forcing judiciaries like the ECSC to be able to administer justice efficiently, equitably, and expeditiously. And so this is very important. We all know that the judiciary is the backbone to any government. And we are now seeing we're soon going to be seeing what the effects of Brexit will have on us in the Caribbean. So in the Caribbean, we need to be able to stand on our own 2 feet. We need to be able to meet the demands of globalization and how the first world countries operate. How are we going to open up our market space and say, hey, we here in the Caribbean, we're open to investment. How can we be open to investment if we don't have a proper functioning judiciary? Not that what we've had before was not efficient, but we need to meet those demands, right? So what does the e-litigation portal do better than the predecessor GEMS, which will always be one of the pioneering steps that the ECSC has taken in terms of modernizing their judiciary? So 24/7 access. As Chief Registrar would have said, yes, you could be sitting, having a lovely cup of espresso, looking at the Triumph, and you would be able to access all your filings and documents, conduct electronic hearings, email and system reminder alerts, calendaring and hearing management modules, document sharing. And then lawyers, you guys can collaborate with each other. And then management dashboards and KPIs to ensure that cases are conducted and concluded within a specific time, increasing the quick turnaround of cases. And for lawyers out there who think that this by any means is going to impede you from making more money, actually that's not true. Because the faster cases conclude, the more cases that are there for you to hear. So the journey of the ECSC e-litigation portal, as I said, is a very surreal one. We started our initial engagement in 2015 with the courts, and then we decided we will do a study trip visiting some of the key member states to look and see, okay, what would your needs be? Prior to that, the Eastern Supreme Court, made up of the Chief Justice, Mr. Gerard, and a few other members, they came to Singapore to see firsthand what is this e-litigation portal about. And then in May 2017, we submitted an official technical and financial proposal to the courts, which was accepted in 2017, and in July, we officially kicked off the project. We've gone through many months of user acceptance testing in the various member states. We have gone through different, many months of training. Some of you guys have been here last week and the week before at our training sessions. And in 2018, we officially went live with the e-litigation portal starting in St. Lucia. So these are some of the key features of the ECSC e-litigation portal for those who have not heard about it before or have not attended any of our training sessions. So you have e-filing, e-listing, automated workflows, application hearing, reporting and analytics, e-payments, e-notifications. So I will now pass you on to Jose, who is what you call our subject matter expert. He has been implementing judiciary systems not only in Singapore, but in in Oman, in Qatar, in Thailand, Kazakhstan, so he's what you call one of our domain experts. He has been very much part of the Singapore's journey when they were pure paper-based, just like you all. And now he is, I think, quite mixed with emotions today because, as he was saying to me this morning, this is his last hurrah on this side of the world. So, Jose?
I've seen a lot of familiar faces, so I think it was right in the training I can recognize a lot of people. So I'll jump straight into the portal then because I think this is quite familiar for most of you. Okay, so this is the web portal, right? So it is hosted on the cloud, Amazon Web Services, 24/7. Okay, all the services available at 24/7, and you can access it anywhere, any place, anytime, right? So all you really need is now three things. One is internet access, an ID password, and electricity. Okay, I got that one today. So, okay. So now, to demonstrate, I'll just show a few key features that we have in the system, so that we can actually go through. So I'll try to log in as a legal practitioner just to show you what are the features that you can, have right now. So I'll log in as a legal practitioner. Right. So the first thing, we call this a landing page. Okay. So the first thing when you log in into the system, this is what the system gives you. And then, okay, so we're using escrow initially, right? So we're using escrow initially. What that means is that I believe a lot of law firms and legal practices have been already registered in the system. I can see it. I can see a lot of approvals coming in. So basically, you need to set up the escrow account. That's the thing that you need to do. Okay, and this, as soon as you log in, it will tell you exactly how much money you have in your balance. Okay, because when you file, there are documents, and the system will deduct that money based on the document fee. Okay, and that way you'll actually know how much money is actually left, and receipts are actually generated for you. Okay, now we have this thing called tasks. So what are tasks? Sometimes you have these little yellow chits where you actually scribble something that, I have this thing, these are the items to do. So this is nothing but your to-do tasks, right? Something that you want to do and something that has been sent across by the case managers or by the court for you for some information is something that's needed to be done, and it'll appear over here for you. Okay? At a high level as well, you get to see a dashboard. So it tells me how many filings for that law firm is there, what are the various case steps that have been filed, okay? And it'll here tell you at various statuses as well, at what stage I am in, right? So this gives you an overview of the entire cases that you filed and the information that is there. Let's move to the left-hand side. We have this thing, we call it notifications. So anytime a milestone or something has happened, like for example, if a case has been filed, okay, you'll be notified because now the cases that are filed get automated accepted and you get a case number and information. When we go into the case file, I'll just show you a brief what it looks like. Okay, so these are the type of notifications you get, something that comes in. Now notifications are two types. You'll get it in the system. If you log in, you'll get to see information like this. Okay, but if you have an email and a valid email, on the go, you can actually get information as well. So if the opposing party has filed, you'll get to be notified. If somebody has accepted, a hearing notice has been sent, an order has been generated, you'll get this in an email. So it's only a matter of clicking on the information and then having access to see more information related to that. Okay? And we have calendars. Okay? Now, this calendars, right? So basically, if you look at it, I have an agenda view. So what's that? Is that for 1 week, you'll get to see what are the list of all the, type of hearings or holidays or any kind of events that are there for the week. Okay? You also have, we have various color codes. Like, for example, if we're talking of hearings that have been fixed. So this is what a calendar look like, which is like, if some super busy, a lawyer will have this kind of a calendar with lots of hearings all around. Okay, we used it from the UAT, so I believe a lot of you all did file and fixed hearings, so that's why it's so full. Right, so it says various color codes. So if you double click this, so these colors are meant for hearings. Okay, so just double click and you get information. This is more about information related to holidays. Okay, and this is if there's any special event. So why we need all this? Because we have various checks basically when you're fixing a hearing, right? We ensure that holidays as well as events also will be excluded when you fix a hearing. The system alerts to tell you, hey, do you really want to fix on a holiday? I guess people might attend hearings on a holiday, but you never know. We allow you to fix the hearing. Nobody stops you, okay? But also we check for the the accessibility as well as the timelines for the judicial officer to see whether the availability for the court, as well as we have something for the lawyers. We also look for conflict checks for the lawyers. So now I believe earlier was where that suppose a lawyer has been fixed for a hearing for a high court, okay, at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. If somebody now tries to fix for the same lawyer at 9 o'clock for a magistrate's court matter, the system will alert and say, hey, this lawyer actually already has a matter at this time. Would you still want to continue? If it doesn't, then you'll have to work towards achieving something where you can adjust it. So in this way, probably we can at least reduce the number of adjournments that are probably happening, because I believe now adjournments happens only at the on that day itself, and it's hard to change it, right? So this hopefully adjournment should happen a lot earlier, or we can change the hearing dates even before we actually do any fixing. So this is what a calendar looks like for various types of color codes for different things. Now let's look at cases. Okay, so this is where you have all your listings. So basically you have your matters and information. So all your case files will all appear over here. Now the case files, right? You can actually filter or you can zoom through. So what I'll do is I'll try to filter and try to open a case. Okay, just to show you what are the informations over there. So these are actually hosted and the information is all on the cloud, which means it is centrally located at the information and anybody has access to it anywhere as long as you have an ID password to get in, right? Okay, and internet access. Now, you have basic case information like the case numbers, you have case types, and it tells you which status you are in, right? Right now, this case in particular is at a hearing status, right? It will tell you who is the assigned judge, who filed. It gives you all the parties information, basic case details that are there that the system captures, okay? So all information, all is at one place. All the details of the case, parties, right? This is for those who have actually come in and entered the case, right? Who are actually representing here, okay? So you can actually get into all the information. Now this is for the judicial officers, okay? Whenever you have a hearing, it all appears over here, okay? So actually this eye is a place where it gives you access to view information. So it tells you all the information related to this, okay? So here I believe there are some references as well, okay? Then returns of service. So basically documents will be served across and we actually capture information related to the service that was done by who, when, what time, basic information, okay? And this lists down all the history, whatever has happened, okay? Who filed at what date, what time, what are the various stages of the case, what are the timelines that have happened for the case. So it gives you a brief history of everything. So basically it is totally transparent. So you get to see exactly what's happening in the case at a given point in time or all the past history, okay? This is lists down all the documents that are there in the case, okay? So I'll take a simple example. So basically if somebody files and you already have a case number, I'll just show you what a document should look like. So basically when a document is filed, you will have a file stamp from Anguilla, okay? You will have your submitted date and a file date. So since it is although it's 24/7, we still have two dates, okay? One is the system will, like for example, for this, right? It was filed yesterday, 8:20, but it is past working hours, right? So what the system will do is it will get your actual file date as the next working hours or the day, which was 8:30 today in the morning, which is why you get to see this as 8:30 in the morning. All right, so that's how you read the difference between 2 days. One is what you actually submit. One is actually when you submitted it. It can be at midnight or it can be at 1 o'clock in the morning, but the system will capture that. But you'll have another date which will tell you which is the actual file date. Okay. Then also the fees that have been paid also will be captured over here. Receipts will be generated. So this, and you'll have a case number which will be displayed to you. So this is what you have a look at when you have a document that's just filed into the system. Okay, so you can access all the documents online. You can view it and assess. Okay, the system also provides for various features in the case. Like for example, you can actually do bundles. So we were talking about bundles, right? So you can actually take all the documents that are filed, assemble it into one bundle, bundle of authorities, or any type of like trial bundle, and then you can upload that into the system. Okay, directly done by the system itself. Okay, so you don't really have to do a lot of steps to do it. Okay, as well as talking about sometimes you have no internet connection and you really want to go down to the beach and you want to assess the system. Oh, I really need to sit by the beach, but yet I want to view my case file because I got my hearing tomorrow. So pack and go, just click on it. Okay, you'll get all your files down locally, put in your thumb drive, take your laptop, sit over there, have a drink, and then still assess whatever system or whatever documents that you want to assess. Okay, so that's roughly what I can talk about. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And okay, last is a little bit for the public. Okay, so although they may not have SS, but they know what's the case number. You have this thing, we call it a public search, just to know and let the parties know, or let the the clients know, in case I'll put in my case number and you tell me which is my next hearing date that I have in the system. Okay, it just tell you the hearing date, that's it, nothing more. All right, and this for the public, just having a case number and getting information. Okay, so I think that's about what I can do. Okay.
I would like to give our Crimson Logic team another round of applause, please. Whenever an organization implements any new system, it's always good to hear from your stakeholders so that you, especially at the initial stage, so you can make the necessary adjustments so that it is working for the common good. Because that's the whole point of implementing the system in the first place. And in doing so, we'd like to call on Ms. Jean Dyer, President of the Anguilla Bar Association, to give us some feedback on the system so far. Make her welcome.
Permit me to adopt the protocol which was so ably established by our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Brissett, but to acknowledge the President of His Lordship, the Honorable Sean Innocent, and also our Chief Registrar, Miss Michelle John Tibbles. The legal profession, which is said to be the world's second oldest profession, has historically been one with a number of long-standing traditions. It is criticized by some as being the sector which has been slow to change. In fact, it has been said that it has taken decades to change pace and direction. These criticisms may well be legitimate. Lawyers, as you know, are generally do not like change. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I'll leave it to you. Recent advancements in digital technology are, however, transforming the legal profession. The way in which information is created, stored, and conveyed has certainly changed over the years. Justice Innocent would have alluded to that. Technology is said to be causing a quote-unquote seismic shake-up of the legal profession and is altering the traditional way in which we do business. It is said that for us as legal professions to remain relevant, we must embrace technology and transform our traditional ways of working. This is because, as you know, whether as lawyers or as clients, there is an incredible pressure from clients to get more for less. New technologies should therefore should not be seen as the quote-unquote enemy, but as tools that can be used to better serve our clients. I must confess that I had reservations with regard to the e-litigation portal, particularly because I'm somewhat married to the reams and reams of people I like to touch and see. This is somewhat akin to a divorce. However, on a serious note, having been trained by the Crimson Logic team over the last 2 weeks, led by Jose, I can quote-unquote testify that the portal would undoubtedly enhance our daily practice as lawyers. Specifically, the portal would allow us to work around the clock and and out of office and meet our clients' needs at any time and location. It will no doubt improve our efficiency. Just this week, I wanted to conduct a litigation search after the court office had closed. And I remarked to my office manager that I can't wait until the portal comes on stream so that I can search at any time and anywhere. So I can testify that I've been quote-unquote converted. As Jose would have said, scheduling conflicts will be immediately known to the case managers so that clients will not have to incur costs in applying for adjournments, which are caused by scheduling conflicts. I personally look forward to the other jurisdictions coming on stream so that conflicts from jurisdiction to jurisdiction would also be flagged immediately. It is also anticipated that it will reduce our operational costs because, as His Lordship would have said, we will no longer have to prepare hearing bundles. As some of you may know, in some instances, 8 copies of bundles have to be prepared for the Court of Appeal. I would imagine that some law firms may well now be facing storage issues. I personally suspect that I will still continue to travel with my files for some time, but it's good to know that I've got options. So undoubtedly, there will be benefits. Permit me to somewhat digress and acknowledge that this is a proud moment for us in Anguilla. I dare say that it is no accident that Anguilla was one of the 3 islands selected for implementation during the first round. As you know, we as a people have embraced technology. Our state-of-the-art commercial online registry is something that we are proud of. Acorn, as you know, allows companies to be incorporated instantly from anywhere in the world, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Our land registry is also about to go online. So why should the judiciary and legal profession be left behind? I am pleased to know that we won't be left behind even if we are dragged along, kicking and screaming, so that we can serve you online and on time. Finally, permit me to congratulate the ECSC team and also to recognize the yeoman efforts of the Crimson Logic team led by our teacher, Jose. Thank you for all that you have done and you'll continue to do. I thank you.
I am very excited about the portal, and I know it will be an exciting time for you as well. There will be kinks, but that is where the excitement will come. I will now invite our Chief Registrar to make our symbolic official click to signal the start of the new journey and the new era in Anguilla.
Wow.
I will now invite Miss Parlona Reese to come and do the official vote of thanks.
We would like to thank God for the opportunity for bringing us here to this stage in administration of justice, incorporating this aspect of technology with our work. We would like to thank the following persons for helping us to make this event possible. for those persons who took part in the launching of this ceremony, the team from the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court and the team from Crimson Logic for facilitating the training, Information Technology Unit for the use of their training room for the past 3 weeks, the media for attending and publicizing the event and making the public aware of the e-litigation portal. Attorneys, clerks, staff of the High Court and Magistrates Courts, Immigration and Customs Departments, the Royal Anguilla Police Force, Department of Social Development, and the staff of the Attorney General's Chambers. 507 Larry's for providing refreshments during the training, Javiet Richardson for sharing her decorating skills, and Trenton Roach for his kindness. The Community College for the use of the facility and refreshments, Mr. Rockland Maynard for capturing the moments of this special occasion in photos, and for all those who took the time to attend the launch. If we have forgotten anyone, it was not intentional. Once again, thank you all for coming and helping us to celebrate this occasion.